welcome back. You wanted to make a point.
Yes. You know, what bothers me is not simply the demonstration in the House. What bothers me is a much more fundamental thing.
Yeah.
The opposition is now so large that through using quorum, the attack on the quorum, they actually stop Parliament.
Well, it means that the ANC are going to have to pitch up, aren't they?
Well, it's very difficult because...
Why? We
a
pay
large, no, look at the numbers. A large number of ANC MPs and ministers and deputy ministers. They've got work to do in Pretoria and elsewhere. So if...
How much is a quorum?
201.
And you guys have got how many?
We've got 250. But 50 are ministers and... You know, I'm not debating the rights
of... But you're running away from the central problem. You're running away from the central problem with what both, I think, Richard Callard and Professor Fikeni have pointed out. They say there's a structural cause here. That is, if people such as, if I got them right, the President, consistently refuses to answer Parliament in a responsive and accountable way, you are going to get these problems.
Sure, absolutely,
well,
I agree.
And so I suppose what they're asking and what I'm asking you is, how do you cure that?
I'm not sure how you cure it.
Well, you were there for 20 years.
It's not easy to cure.
Why not?
Well, everybody has got, look, yourself, the media, everybody has got to ask for answers. Thuli Madonsela has got to ask for answers. There are institutions to pressure for answers.
But surely the institution that is most supposed to be help us as the citizens of the country, the people viewing this particular program, is Parliament, for goodness sake.
Well,
what do we vote for?
You know, the thing is, at the moment, there's a kind of balance. There's a new balance of influence.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is this. If the EFF decides that they want to wreck Parliament, if they go along with the rest of the opposition, they can actually stall Parliament. Well, that's what bothers me.
It may bother you, but unfortunately that's not bothering me at the moment. What's bothering me, well, help me here.
Well, this is evidence of a more competitive democracy, isn't it? The ANC hasn't done quite as well in the election in May.
They still got over 60% of the vote, for goodness sake.
But the opposition ranks have changed considerably, Dennis. They're no longer splintered across a wide front. You've now got a big block of opposition members in the DA, 80 members. That's a big block, and they can spread themselves thickly across the committees and fight the ANC on a broad front. Plus, you've now got Mr. Malema and his 24 fighters who are going to continue to press the ANC and push a button that has never been pushed on them before.
So is that a good thing? Should we be happy for our democracy that that's occurring?
Well, the fact that the ruling party is being put under political pressure and that Parliament is relevant and that the principle of executive accountability has become more meaningful, that the ANC are under pressure on Nkandla and other matters, that's got to be a good thing for our democracy.
Let me push you on this just for a second, if I may. Our structure, I know, is different to that of the US, but the idea was not entirely dissimilar, meaning that the legislature would hold the executive accountable. Now, that's really not happened.
The history of...
Nobody in this country believes that a legislature is going to say to the executive, look here, if you don't do this, X, Y, Z...
Well, when you've got a big majority in Parliament, and when you have a system where the seat in Parliament is owned not by the individual MP, but by the party, then the party bosses have a lot of power. And the ANC backbenchers have been pretty weak over the years, with notable exceptions, such as the gentleman sitting alongside me here. Now, things are changing, and the pressure that's being put on the ANC ranks in Parliament, I think the political equation has changed. And they're going to have to raise their game big time in Parliament. That is a good thing. This country's got a long and painful history of executive abuse of power. The constitution makers decided to spread power around a bit. The executive must account to Parliament, but there are also important bodies such as the Public Protector.
But can I ask you, the implication is, unless we go for some sort of constituency-based system, where the party bosses of the parties don't dominate who goes to Parliament, can we ever envisage a legislature that's do the job that it should do, which is to say, even though we come from the same party, no, you can't do this, or no, you can't do that?
I think it would be possible. I think the calls for reform of the electoral system may exaggerate the benefits that would come with constituency representation.
Hang on a sec, hang on a sec.
Well, I want to ask
we have a problem in Cape Town at the moment where DA councillors who are opposed to a decision by the mayor had to vote, even though they're elected individually on a local ward basis, they followed the caucus rules.
Okay, well, let me ask, Professor Fikeni, I mean, what I'm interested in is the structure of Parliament. Because the idea is that Parliament should hold the executive accountable. It's not happening. So how do we make it happen?
Well, I do think that it starts with the internal democracy within the political parties. Once they are vigorous, it becomes easier to have a culture of holding people accountable. Even in this case, if you had such vibrancy within the political parties, the issue of a party position would come refined, debated, rather than a matter of solidarity. Hence, I do say that ANC should think very carefully on the time, energy apportioned to defending the president, and that which they ought to invest in focusing on their second transition of a radical transformation. Because right now, you're beginning to see a situation where the focus is more on procedural issues as to how Madonsela is approaching this matter, how Malema is approaching this matter, rather than to say, how do we deal with these substantive issues such that they go away resolved?
All right, I understand that from the part of the ANC, but what I'm asking is a slightly different question, which is, how do we actually ensure that over time, Parliament actually does the job that one would expect of a Parliament which is supposed to hold an executive accountable? I mean, do we need structural changes, or is this just as you suggesting, whether it will dawn on the ANC that they better do this, otherwise more of the same is going to happen?
It's a combination of the two. You do need a structural change. I think the electoral system, which is a closed party list proportional representative system, worked very well in 1994 when you wanted even the smallest parties using the lowest of threshold to come in. Right now, you do need a mixed system that will inject greater accountability on individual MPs and also on the political parties. But I do not believe for once that the change of electoral rules from proportional representative system to constituency will alone be a panacea for all our political problems.
Do you agree with that?
I do.
Why?
As you know, Dennis, I grew up in Britain where there's the other extreme system, pure constituency system. And it didn't mean that, for example, the backbench Labour Party MPs could...
much better system, surely, in the sense, how do you get...
Not necessarily. You might lose diversity in Parliament.
How do you get members of Parliament to say to the executive of their own party, like you do in the United States, no, you can't do this. We will not pass that.
Can I come in?
Yes, of course you can.
It does happen. You see...
When? In a blue moon?
No. You see, what people forget, and I think that I agree with Professor about what he's saying. The thing is the way Parliament works is in committees. And in the portfolio committees, it happens again and again that members of the ANC, the ruling party, will say to the minister, we don't like that.
On very controversial issues? Or,
well, it happens,
sort of
look,
politics light?
You know, the truth is that the assembly, the plenary, is only one aspect of Parliament.
Okay, all right, I'll get back there. I've got to take a break and then we'll come back.